At the bottom of the map of Antigua Shipyard, we have our Protoss player, one of the kind of newcomers that appeared last season, were able to get into Code S. Now he's fighting for his spot in the up and down matches. We have
Slayers Brown.
Slayers Brown in the red color at the bottom of Antigua Shipyard, and well, he just popped up. He's now playing against one player that we've seen over and over again, and one of the huge fan favorites at the top of the map in the blue color, our Protoss player for Evil Geniuses.
Yi Hug.
Hug is playing his best matchup here. He is a player that is known for his PvP, and well, Brown, as I said, he was just, as for GG and as for example Parting, he kind of popped up last season, won the Code A qualifier and was suddenly in a position where he could show his skill. He won Code A, he was able to get his Code S spot right away, but in the first Code S season he was defeated by 2 Terran players and now is facing his group in the up and down matches. It's the first game for both of them today, and it's going to be so important.
Brown did some interesting PvP strategies against Lure, and he went for a proxy gate core build where he did a proxy stalker rush basically, when Lure did the same. So that ended up being an interesting game, and then there was a cannon rush from Brown against Lure as well. So it looked like he was not as confident during that time in his PvP, but right now he's playing very standard. Both players, in fact, using identical amounts of Chrono Boost on their probes. Brown taking his second gas, Huck doing the same at the exact same timing. Very, very mirrored right now.
And another piece of information, we talked to them early on, and Brown is not a full-time StarCraft II player. He is studying right now, and lately he had to, well, invest a lot of time into his studies, so he is not in the best shape. That's at least what he and Sella told us earlier. And we'll see if it's going to be enough to beat Huck. Obviously, he has been training for the up and down matches, but with a lot of time spent in studying, he just was not able to, well, train to that amount of games where he was really, really confident going into this group today.
You know, there are so many players actually out there who are part-time students that people don't know about. Like, for example, Paul studies so much. He goes to one of the most difficult. Some
Actually,
people argue he doesn't.
Holt has 1 year off, and he was off for 1 year now, and he wants to spend another year as a pro gamer before starting to study again.
Okay, so that, because I heard rumors about that, but when I asked him about it, he told me he did study, so I guess like he has to study a little bit, and like...
In general he does, but he is on a break now.
Okay, so he's not actually attending university, because I was going to say that sounds crazy. Thank you for clarifying that, because that always seemed crazy, like absolutely crazy. I mean, that university is so difficult.
Yeah, it is, and he's actually all the time that he spends in European tournaments as well. At night he plays like every week at least 2 European tournaments, so it would be kind of hard for him to study as well, especially given that he has to play in the GSL as well. So
Robo going down for Brown here as Huck makes 2 sentries. So as far as tech advantages goes, it goes heavily to Brown here. Huck doing a great job at denying scouting right now with his stalkers though. Looks like Huck wants to expand with these sentries, and Huck types lag into chat. We're gonna have a pause here.
That's a bit unfortunate, especially in the mirror matchup, and especially in ZVZ and PvP. If you have lag or delay, that can affect the outcome of the game within seconds. So I really appreciate that Huck is immediately pausing the game and demands one of the admins to have a look at it. Because the problem is, what we see quite often is that players won't complain when it actually occurs, but will start to just play on and are like, okay, well, I kind of deal with it. Then the first fight occurs, they lose because of the lag, and then they complain, which is always a little bit of a problem. So I really think that is really good that he...
The frame rates are dropping is what he's saying. And it's his PC, it looks like. Brown saying his frames are at 140 at least. So,
yeah, they have a little bit of a chat, and apparently right now it's okay for Huck as well, but as soon as he changes his screen, it drops down to like 40, which is obviously a major upset, and the admins are going to take care of it. I really, as I said, I really think it's a great decision that he does that right away and does not try to play on.
Yeah, hopefully for his sake, the administrators will be forgiving, because we talked earlier about illegal pausing, and in this case, I think he will probably be okay. But if something goes wrong, you know, this is only his first match of many that he will play tonight, and if there are any further problems, he may have to deal with that, depending on the situation, depending on the ruling here. So we'll see what he does. So anyways, let's compare these build orders as this issue goes on. Huck is expanding with just 2 gateways, getting some sentries to hold the expand. This is becoming more popular in PvP in Korea, but it's still a risky build. And with the robo timing of Brown, he should be able to scout what's going on and go for a pretty nice timing attack at the same time. So he will potentially be able to kill him with a 2-base Colossus. I mean, 2 Colossus with range timing attack off 1 base, or potentially expand as he pushes out with Colossus to try to pressure Huck. He could do all sorts of things, but with that Robo, he really has this huge tech advantage over Huck. The Huck's going to have to take that into account. He's been doing a great job at nice scouting. If he can keep his opponent in the dark about what build he's done until the Observer gets there, then he can probably defend it if he can power up enough units at that time. Because if Brown is doing anything else, like if he makes his own Nexus now, he thinks he's making kind of a risky Nexus, but Huck's Nexus is so much riskier than his, and if he does that, then Huck's going to be way ahead. So it's all going to depend on the scouting.
We're just having a little bit of chat on the screen right now because, well, both players, they, well, no, actually not the players, but the Korean commentators and the observers are just trying to communicate and let people know what exactly is happening. And we don't really know.
It looks like they're actually saying that it may be related to the Observer computer, but I don't think that
sounds weird.
I don't think that would make sense, because obviously Brown said he was experiencing FPS issues, and usually if you have FPS issues, it's related to your own PC, not lag related. It can be, but usually it's not related to lag. If you're having FPS drops, that's usually something going on with the processor or the graphics.
It's really annoying when something like this happens. There are a lot of players out there that really need to shut everything out. That it's kind of funny. For example, when I was... Okay, they are talking about the on-pass. But for example, I had the chance to sit behind, for example, Zocke when he was playing. And he's a player who can play the most important match of his life, but at the same time, he's just able to completely kind of talk with you, or at least to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Where there are other players who completely shut out everything, and then as soon as you just come close to them, they really flip, and it completely throws them off.
Yeah.
I don't know the mindset of Huck, if he's okay with just having this break and can get back into the game, or if he's one of these players that is actually affected by it. Everybody seems to be ready right now.
We're going to go back into the game.
So we are going to get back into the match, and I hope that all the issues have been resolved and that Huck can now show us his A game.
Yeah, we'll see. The game has been resumed, so we're going to jump back into the game right now, guys. I don't think any issues were resolved on Huck's computer. He's just going to have to continue to play it out, as far as I know. And, things going wrong for Huck already, losing a Stalker in the middle of the map.
That's unfortunate.
And he's actually going to lose perhaps a second one here. He's not paying attention.
Wow.
He was controlling a Stalker on the left side of the map, so 2 Stalkers going down for Huck.
This is horrible.
Not even damaging any of the other Stalkers of his opponent. He was controlling a Stalker on the left side of the map during that. Losing 2 Stalkers with this type of build is unacceptable. It cannot... Oh, well, look at this, though. Brown is making a Nexus. This is exactly the best possible scenario for Huck's build.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm a bit surprised, especially with him killing those 2 Stalkers. I would have expected him to go for timing, but he does not know about his opponent's expansion yet, does he?
No, he does not. He's just now gotten the Observer, and like I said, if he waits to react until the Observer's there, it may be too late. But with no robotics support bait, now with the Observer going across the map, Huck has his own robotics up and running, getting an Observer out, and he's got an expansion. His opponent no longer has a timing to punish him, and Huck just simply put, even though he lost 2 Stalkers, has a much faster expansion.
As you can see with the map win rate for these 2 players, we have Huck with a lot more games, therefore he is down to 40% win ratio.
Yeah,
the 100% for Brown does not really reflect his
neither of those
map.
stats. Actually, I just want to come out and say something. There's been like a lot of talk about stats recently. If you don't have at least 15 games in a stats pool, it's almost hardly worth mentioning the stats.
It's kind of nice
to know. It's good to see, but like, yeah, don't read into those types of stats, guys.
Personally, I find it really, really interesting. I'm a person who likes to read about statistics, but at the same time, as you said, there has to be a sample size that is really big enough in order to validate all those percentages.
You're exactly right. Now the Observer for Huck is out. He's sending it across the map now. He will get his first glimpse of his entire opponent's base. He has not scouted whatsoever. He was using those stalkers in the middle of the map to try to get some scouting information of his opponent. This will be his first glimpse, period, of any of Brown's tech, structures, expansion. Looks like he's actually going to try to pick off this probe on the left side. Unfortunately, though, I don't think he'll be able to get it. He's going to pick off a pylon. That's pretty cute. Really good to see things like
nice.
this.
Awesome. He picks off the probe. After all, you can't see it on the map right now, but Brown was able to sneak it by to the left side.
Oh!
Nice.
Close call there.
But as I said, the probe was picked off. He split his stalkers, and while 3 of the stalkers were attacking the pylon on the high ground, he used 2 of them in order to block the probe's scouting path, and were completely obliterated it before it could get anywhere close to his base. Very, very cute. Very nice play by Huck.
The Immortal count is much better right now for Brown. It's 3-1, and the probe count better for Huck. Of course, he has that faster earlier Nexus, 42-34. He also has double gas up and running and a robotics support bay. He's starting his Colossus production now, whereas Brown has started a Twilight count, so he's now getting his robotics support bay as well. Brown's build here seems a little bit sketchy, a little bit weird.
Yeah.
I don't quite follow his choice to get the Twilight Council. He may be thinking his opponent is going for Blink, and so therefore wants his own safety net against that, wants to get his own defensive Blink. But to try to go Blink offensively at this stage of the game would be a little bit odd. Now, Huck's getting a Forge here because he can afford it.
Brown kind of spreads his tech out too far. It's just too thin, and I have to say that Huck is looking really good here, especially with the lead that he had early on with his economy. Brown did not punish him for it. So we have now a huge lead in probes for Huck, and he can just afford all this stuff. He can afford his Forge. He's now going for Twilight Council on his own in order to get additional upgrades like Charge, for example.
I feel like Brown really misread Huck's build. He's made so many Immortals. It's like he's absolutely sure that Huck is going for a Blink build. Now he's adding a lot of stalkers into his mix because he has committed to his Blink, but Huck will actually be able to hold this most likely so easily, this first pressure move. If he force fields correctly and uses his Colossus, which by the way almost has range, he has 2 Colossi with range against this Sentry heavy Immortal army, and he's not actually going to be in position to force field, unfortunately for Huck, though. This is the best chance Brown could potentially have, and he's going to back away.
Did you see this one Stalker being warped in, and suddenly all those Immortals focused on one Stalker warping in, and it immediately died?
Nice, poor Stalker, man.
That was the most short-lived Stalker I've ever seen.
Well, that Stalker, man, he didn't get a very good glimpse of Antigua. He was looking to check it out, but Huck is now getting his own Blink, but it makes a lot more sense for Huck to be doing this at this point. And
Blink is done for Brown. He can blink up this this ledge, and he does.
Oh, he decides to go for Charge, actually. Hold that thought. Yeah, this Blink into the main. He will pick off 2 Stalkers, so well worth it here, as long as he doesn't lose any of his own. Well worth it there. Gets out, even saves the Observer, but Huck is looking to flank here.
He's actually just going for it.
Yeah, he is. It's kind of weird and risky. Brown is turning around. Huck is forcing this engagement. He feels he has a big enough lead in Colossi and unit composition that he's just going to go for this. It's Colossus in the middle of the map, though. So sloppy by Huck to lose that Colossus in the middle of the map.
You didn't see it on screen, but there was one lone Colossus trying to get close to Huck's army, trying to reunite with the rest of his brothers, and he was taken out by the Blink Stalkers in the middle of the map. Here comes the small attack. Once again, Brown using his Blink. Huck is about to complete Charge, whereas Brown, on the other hand, is now going for Colossus and extended thermal range as well. He nearly completed the range upgrade.
I'm kind of surprised Huck went for Charge instead of Blink in this case. He didn't know his opponent had Blink. He's going to try to target down this Colossus. It will damage it pretty heavily, but it won't die.
And I have to say that Huck's unit control here was excellent. When those Stalkers walked up the ramp, he immediately spotted the damaged Stalkers and focused on them. There's only a few players out there who would really do it. I actually found that a lot of players don't even use the constant hit point bars, and therefore I have a bit of a problem doing so.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, which players have you seen with that? That's actually really, that's news to me, man. Well, I've seen a few like foreign pro gamers do that when the StarCraft II first came out, but I haven't seen any Koreans like that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's really, really nice that he focused on those units immediately.
Yeah, he did.
The unit control was just like really nice.
And he also did a great job of trapping the units in the middle of the map. He was very map aware. And Huck's actually taking a supply lead here. He's got 2. Right now, the Colossus count is 5-4 in Brown's favor. He's got 2 Colossi on the way at a time. I don't know about Huck's transition into Archon Charge Zealot play here. I don't like it. He's going to take a third base as well, and his opponent is now adding a Twilight Council, or a Temple Archives, excuse me. Huck already has +1, and his +2 is finishing, so that upgrade advantage is going to be in his favor as well, but I still like adding Colossi in constantly. I don't like the idea of changing, because if his opponent gets that critical mass of Colossi, it won't matter what else Huck has.
Another scout coming in for Brown, and just a quick thing about the constant hit point bars. That's one of the problems that a lot of former Warcraft 3 players faced when they started to transition into StarCraft 2, because in Warcraft 3 in the beginning it was not there was no option of constantly showing the hit point bars. So you either had to press the Alt key, or you had to just edge a coin or whatever between two keys on the keyboard in order to show those hit point bars the entire time. So some players in Warcraft just were used to completely just neglect it and go for the Alt bar every time for the Alt key in order to show the hit points, and that's why they had a problem of adjusting when they started with StarCraft 2.
Yeah, in StarCraft 1 there was no ability to see hit point bars ever, so it was a little bit weird for even myself to just be accustomed to seeing the hit point bars all the time. I was used to just trying to calculate in my head which Dragoons were really low on hit points. We're going to see Huck do a huge attack here. His Zealot count is at 26, but that's only 7 more than his opponent at 19. He does have +2, and +3 is halfway done here. He's just forcing his opponent to not mine right now.
We have a huge Colossus lead for Brown, by the way.
That's what I'm concerned about for Huck. He's got this awesome Colossus count, and he's making even more right now. Actually, Huck's the one who's continuing Colossus production here. He does have +3 on the way. It's not done in time. Huck does not want to engage here. That would be a really awkward position to engage. He needs to have that concave, and his Zealots need to be able to close the distance. He doesn't want to attack around that gap.
54 to 58 Harvesters, Huck mining from 3 bases now, whereas Brown is a bit in a
I don't like this by Huck. He's wasting a lot of time, but Brown hesitates, and that's all the time Huck needs. He runs in here with an advantage in upgrades, doing a ton of damage, but Brown will push him back here with a superior Colossus count, at least temporarily, but Huck coming in with a Zealot flank, and now his Colossi can fire, but he's hesitating just slightly. Did you see how Huck was about 30 supply ahead, but Brown's Colossus count just tore through everything else after that?
I actually think that Brown kind of mismicros his Colossi in this fight. He could have taken down every single unit of Huck. Huck clumped up every Colossi, all his Colossi. If Brown would have just moved in, he just spread out his Colossi so well. If he would have moved in and focused on Huck's Colossus clump there, Huck would have lost every single one of them.
He should have lost the battle there for sure, but he got so lucky in that Brown hesitated for just 1 second. Making some more Archons here in plain sight of Brown's Zealot run by now. Huck takes a supply lead. The Colossus count now 5 to 6 in Huck's favor. Huck has 3 Archons to 2 right now. +3 is now on the way for Brown, but Huck already has +3. He's getting +1 shields, but Brown is getting armor, which is not that important in this matchup, but it will make a somewhat of a difference.
I really feel that Huck kind of came out ahead in this fight. Like,
yeah, he got really lucky.
With his economy in the back as well, and him constantly pressuring the third of his opponent. So after this fight, trading the Colossi, and as you just said, the Colossi count is about even now, and Huck can produce from double Robo because he added a second one. So he's in a really good position, as already shown in the supply tab as well, with 160 to 125. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, he is. Really, really good. And right now the Colossus count 7 to 5 for Huck, and all he needs to do now is actually just attack another time. Brown's trying to make a Sim City as third base to defend against that attack that he knows will be soon incoming. Huck's hesitating so much here that he's not really going to be able to use that advantage in upgrades that he had. So his opponent will have 3 and +3 attack and +2 armor when the attack hits, so that's something to consider. And Huck will have +1 shields, but no armor upgrades just whatsoever.
Well, he's researching the first one now. If Icona boosts as well, he might just have it in the next fight, depending on when he is starting to move out.
This is such a weird game. It's like Huck now is going to wait until he's maxed before he attacks, but with the way the upgrades go, and since his opponent's on 3 bases, his opponent will max out basically just as quickly. Now he's going to go. He is about 30 supply ahead here. The Zealot count almost dead even. The Colossus count 9 to 7 in Huck's favor, but with 2 more coming out. Well, Brown actually has cut Colossus production. If he had 2 more coming out, it would be even. Huck's just going to take the center here and continue to... He looks like he just wants to keep trading with his opponent until he runs him out of money.
And there's one thing that I'm a little bit curious about, and yeah, we have actually Brown splitting his Colossi into several control groups, while Huck has all his Colossi in one. This is one of the reasons why they clumped up in the fight as they did the last time. And once again, as you can see, we have at the bottom right, Brown spreading out his Colossi very, very well. Let's see if Huck is controlling them a little bit better in this fight. He kind of dodged a bullet in the last one, with Brown not realizing that he could just focus on all the Colossi. And this next battle is going to be epic. Observer speed being researched now for Huck.
Yep, and he is getting that +1 armor, and like you said, he chrono boosted, it's done before the fight. +2 shields are on the way as well, so he's going to have better upgrades overall very soon. If he continues to chrono boost, looks like he's going to target down this pylon here with some stalkers.
Oh, and here comes Brown moving out now, the 2 stalks detected.
The pylon with 5 hit points left does survive.
That's the thing, both of them try to expand now towards the middle of the map. Huck already done with his expansion, trying to saturate it, and he controls the center of the map, so he's in a very good position. Brown needs to attack up, needs to take control of the middle if he wants to establish this 4th phase.
Huck does have Blink on the way. He only has 1 Stalker right now. Here we go!
Trying to get in immediately. Huck spreading out his
Colossi. 2 spread out. A lot of the Zealots closing the distance while many of his Colossi were not firing. And Brown's Archon's taking a lot of damage. Looks like Huck's Colossus count may be too much, though.
He's actually doing really good now with 127 against
Oh, but Brown close to the distance while Zealots were tanking the damage, and Brown looks like he is going to tear through the final Colossus of Huck.
Beautiful Colossus micro here by Brown. He did so well in this fight, even pulling individual Colossi back in order to withdraw fire. And look at how he saved 2 of them. One of them with like 1 or 2 hit points left. This is insane.
Well, more important than even his Colossus micro was his ability to put the Zealots in. Huck's he spread his Colossi too far, so they couldn't even hit the first wave of Zealots. Huck loses this base now, loses his Colossus lead. It's now 4-2 for Brown. And Brown, though, does have several damaged Colossi, so he needs to make sure that he micros them yet again in the second fight.
The unit control was just better for Brown in the last engagement, and especially how he moved his Colossi in order to dodge his opponent's attacks was really, really beautiful. He did quite well there. And now we have both of them once again even in supply, but the advantage, as Wolf just said, in favor of Brown, now trying to expand in the middle of the map.
Huck actually has a lot of probes in his composition here, maybe for tanking damage. He's way oversaturated, so he wants to do something with them. More Archons being morphed, and Brown now taking the center base. Huck is in a little bit of trouble here. He is at 2-2-3, whereas Brown is at 2-1-3 with no +2 shields on the way. So Huck with slightly better upgrades just in shields. That means his Archons are going to be tougher, basically, but that is basically the extent of how much his upgrades really come into play.
Yes, once again, the supply lead, 86 against 81 army supply, and here comes Huck. He needs to win this. He needs to win the next fight. If he loses another fight against Brown, then there's no way of defeating the Slayer's player, especially with the expansion nearly done for Brown now in the middle of the map.
Huck is going to try to attack from the side. I really like this idea, how he can avoid his opponent, but he needs to make sure he keeps his call. Oh, I don't know about this attack by Huck. Oh, I really don't like this. The Zealots are all going to go down for nothing.
Oh, the timing is completely off as most of the Colossi attack the pylon and not the army. Brown is still on 100 supply against 112, and here comes Huck, but it does not look like he's able to push through. But we have so many Archons.
And his Archons have better upgrades with +2 shields.
And they did it. He kind of did it. We have 86 against 73 supply, and Brown is pressed hard, needs to back off. He has nothing to block Huck's attempt. And Huck could have killed at least another 2 Colossi if he would have pursued his opponent.
I like his choice to go for the Nexus here, though, because that will give him the opportunity to fall back, knowing he and his opponent will be on equal opportunities for economics. For economies, I guess I should say.
But he could... I agree with you, but he should have at least killed this one Colossus that was down to like 20 or 30 hit points.
Yeah, I mean, he could have. It's scary, though. He doesn't know if some stalkers can come to side and catch him off guard.
Yeah, but it was like 1 more centimeter. 1 second.
Brown's now going to push up here with a really nice Zealot count, but with the amount of Archons Huck has, if he can just pull his Colossi back, which he's not doing.
He needs to be careful here. Once again, just trying to get behind the Archons.
I think he doesn't need to do anything except 1A at this point, man. He's got control of this game.
He's got this. You are right. He has the game. and now he can pursue his opponent. The expansion is gone. 82 supply against 70. Huck playing it safe here.
Yeah, he needs to. He needs to be very careful.
I was so worried for him when he started his attack because most of his Colossi, like 3 of them, just attacked the pylon that Brown built and didn't even engage in the battle.
Yeah, there were also Zealots that ran in way too soon, and they tanked a little bit of hits, but they could have done more. If Huck had microed that battle in the center battery, imagine how well it could have gone, but I'm just watching this. I don't know what to believe anymore about what works well against what and how units should be positioned in PvP anymore. All my knowledge, I thought, from playing hundreds and hundreds of this type of scenario of games are just like melting in front of my eyes. All sorts of battles that should be won by one or other players who are pro gamers are just not happening the way they should. And it's not even necessarily the pro gamers' fault, it's just parts of the AI and how Zealots take priority over the Colossi. It's crazy to see how these battles have gone so far. This is the closest maxed out versus maxed out Protoss versus Protoss armies I've ever seen. Normally it goes overwhelmingly in one or the other player's favor, but in this case it's just been so close every single time.
You're perfectly right. Every single time we've seen an engagement, it's just such a razor-thin advantage that one of the players has. +3 armor is now being researched for Huck. He's on 111 supply, and Brown might still take this game. It's still not over. The game is very, very well even. Huck with a slight advantage.
The mineral patches for Huck are much lower on his third base. Yeah. He had it longer, and Brown's mineral patches, most of them having about 4 times as many minerals left. So
once again, the expansion for Huck in the middle of the map. He's trying to expand again.
He absolutely needs it. In fact, if I were Huck, I have so many probes extra at that third base, I would be long distance mining already. It's just something he needs to do because he is going to be out of money before his opponent, and that's one advantage that Brown can seize hold of. I'll give you guys some unit numbers right now. 17 Zealots for Brown to 18 Zealots of Huck, 5 Archons to 6 Archons, and 3 Colossi to 4. So in every case, just Huck having literally one of each unit more.
Huck has a 20 supply army lead now.
And he's about to have +3 armor, whereas his opponent will not have that.
And this is so important. He has a huge advantage in upgrades now.
Yeah. Not only +3 on armor, but also +2 on shields. Oh, he's going to get some probes here. Be careful about that if you're Brown.
3 probes.
Brown is going to lose this game. He cannot, unless he gets lucky in the engagement, there's nothing he can do. It's already checkmate. His opponent will have the expansion. If he doesn't pressure it now, he's going to lose. He's already behind in mining.
If he allows the expansion and allows Huck to get farther ahead in this game, then he definitely lost the match. And he needs to attack. He needs to force an engagement and hope for some kind of positioning where he can get the upper hand and take down Huck's army.
Trying to force Huck's army out of position. He's done it, but his army isn't in position to do an attack right now.
If Huck is just able to defend this expansion, he is probably going to...
He's already done it, man. There's nothing else that Brown can do. He's missed his time window. He never felt comfortable enough to challenge Huck in the middle, and now Huck is unchallengeable.
But that's the problem. I don't know why Huck is not... Brown is not attacking upon realizing that there's an expansion, because...
I don't get it either.
Time is working in Huck's favor now. The longer Brown waits, the better the situation for Huck will be.
Yeah, and Brown's still waiting. It's almost as if he's trying to hope for a miracle engagement here. He does have Blink on his Stalkers, and he's got 13 of them. Huck has no Stalkers right now. He could try to use the Stalkers to blink into Huck's main and do something like that, but he's just, quite frankly, not doing any of these things. Looks like he's going to pull his probes. He's getting ready for the final fight, knowing he's behind. Huck has so many better upgrades. His Archons are at +3 with their
here
shields.
Comes Brown walking up this small ramp, and here we go.
Stalker's blinking in on top of Colossi. He's actually attacking from the back, targeting his Colossi down.
Oh my god,
he's actually doing a great job with that, but Huck's units flank as well, and Brown will lose the majority of his units. The Archon's now falling.
Wow. This is just an insane battle, and Brown is on a 40 supply against Huck's 92, even though this Stalker attack was brilliant and he took out most of the Colossi. It is over, he can't win the battle, and that's the GG. And Huck, he claims the first game that started with this lag issue, with these FPS problems that Huck had. He must be really relieved in feeling a little bit under the weather lately, and still taking his first win in this up and down matches. Good job by Huck here.
Yeah, well done indeed. Brown making a lot of mistakes in that game, but showing really creative play. I really liked how he microed that last battle. That was the only way he could have potentially won, but Huck did the same, just with Charged Zealots with the flank on the Colossi, so it did not end up working out for him. Huck just had too many good upgrades, +2 shields on his Archons and +3 armor on everything else. His opponent with only +2 armor and just +1 shield, so he did not quite have enough. So well won.
Yeah,
by
really
Huck.
nice back and forth game. Very entertaining what we've just seen in this Protoss versus Protoss. I really enjoyed it. And Huck is coming out ahead.
Yeah, he got a build order advantage, and Brown did not scout. He made the Nexus, and normally that can be good, but Huck took a risk, and it paid off because Brown made the Nexus rather than going for Colossus Tech before scouting, which is also kind of a risk, but it's a safer risk than what Huck did, but Huck just got ahead by luck.
Just to give you a quick heads up about how we are standing in the group right now, we have a Lucky, Huck, and Killer with 1 win each, while the losers of the first 3 games are for GG, Brown, and Virus. So, yep, 2 Protosses and 1 Zerg player already in a good position after 1 game. And obviously you need a lot more wins if you want to claim one of the 2 Code S spots today in this group. But still, winning the first game, as Wolf pointed out earlier, is just so important.
It's great for momentum, for mentality. We're going to take a 5-minute break, guys, so don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more games lined up for you tonight.